We can't reverse, but He can restore. So this is my first video, and part of my first video I wanted to share an insight that is inspired by the verse Joel 2:25, and has been a verse that has helped me a lot in processing through just difficult seasons and past hardships and things that I've gone through, and has just overall contributed to my healing journey, growing, developing my faith, etc. But I remember a couple of months ago, I was going through a really, really difficult season. I was physically, emotionally, spiritually just burnt out and overwhelmed, and just experiencing a variety of emotions. There was a specific day I remember I was walking home from work, and I was just overcome with so much sadness and just such a deep sorrow. I remember walking home and speaking to God. I remember I felt like an ache in my chest, or like this heaviness in my chest. It was kind of like all my sorrows had kind of pulled into that one moment. And I remember I was crying out to the Lord, and I was saying, when I was kind of like reflecting, and I was saying how, Lord, sometimes it feels like every single time I try to take a step forward and heal and try to work on myself or try to process through difficult experiences and things like that, it feels like something else comes my way and I have to deal with that, and I never really have the chance to deal with what I was dealing with before, because I have to process through the next thing that comes my way. And that feeling of like there's so many things coming at you in multiple different directions, it can feel very overwhelming. But one thing that I notice, and how it relates to this verse, is that every time I faced a new struggle, I would keep bringing up old struggles or like past struggles. So when crying out to the Lord, I would say, like, for example, something difficult happened today, I would kind of go through, and this happened and this happens to me, and it kind of turns into this like woe is me cycle, kind of like a victim mentality or like a victim cycle. I noticed that I was doing it kind of felt like I was kind of just like recycling pain and essentially becoming stuck in that cycle of just woe is me. And the reason why I like this verse is because it gave me a new perspective. It made me realize that many times in the Bible it states that we are going to face difficulty. Like, that's something that we can't avoid, because unfortunately we live in a broken world as a result of sin. And until Jesus Christ comes back and changes the world, we are going to have challenges. You cannot avoid it. That's something that is, I think that's such a core principle to have in life, is to realize you can't avoid difficulties or challenges. But how this relates to this verse is I realized that although there are so many things that have happened to me that were out of my control, and things that I shouldn't have gone through and things like that, I can't keep bringing that up. I can't control that. I can't go back and change that. But the beauty of God is that He can take that and He can restore that and create brand new experiences for me, for my good, and for His glory. He is all about restoration, and that is the beauty of God. And again, the reason why I like that, or why this is a very empowering mindset to have, is think about Job. This is the story that came up when I was thinking of this verse. Job lost everything, and he waited years before God restored. And his loss, his grief, losing his children, his wife, I believe he lost his food, his crops, etc. That's something that he'll probably never forget. Like, the pain doesn't go, it doesn't leave, but God was able to take that and restore that. It didn't take from the pain, rather He restored what he lost. He gave him back what he lost. And it made me realize that, and I think I've repeated myself a few times, but I can't keep going back and cycling and saying I've gone through this and this and this and this, but rather I can look to a God who I know will take my experiences and restore them and bring on new experiences in the future, and He will work and He will transform and things like that. It was kind of like a wake-up call. It's like one day I was like, okay, God, this happened. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't go back, but Lord, I trust that you can restore, you can renew, you can do new things. He is a God that can bring the beauty from the ashes. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's such a game changer of a perspective. And I think I love this because it really helped me to accept. And I think that's a very important part when you grieve. A lot of experiences is going through the acceptance. It's kind of like, okay, this happened. No more denial, no more trying to go back and change and transform. It's like, okay, this happened. And sometimes when you're stuck in that place of just recycling pain and, not really moving forward, you don't give room for God to do his restoration, because you just carry this deep bitterness into any experience. Because like I said, you will face challenges. I will face challenges. We will all face challenges. But you just carry this deep bitterness because you're carrying the pain of the things that you haven't just accepted and just, it happened. But yeah, like I said, the Lord, we can't take away what happened. It happened and you can't forget it, but he can give you back what was lost. And this is a mentality that I want to take and allow it to empower me, just heal me overall. But yeah, I would like to encourage you to see if there's any areas in your life where you are still hanging on to pain and suffering and hardships that you've gone through, and you're kind of wallowing. There's nothing wrong with crying out to God and expressing your pain, but where it's becoming quite cyclic, I would encourage you to look at that and see if there's any areas where that's happening for you, and maybe shifting your mindset from, okay, like, I hate this and why did this happen, to, okay, God, this happened, but I want you to take this, Lord, and bring something out of this, because what he brings, it's so great that even though the pain, you can't get rid of it, sometimes it's so great that it's like it never existed. But yeah, we can't reverse, but he can restore. Be encouraged.